Oh boy, here we go. Why is my heart racing? Y'all are intimidating. I'm getting rusty. I'm finally kicking this bug out of my system. But I'm grateful for this little bug and the sniffles to throw me far from grace, realize all my human flaws, all my character flaws. And do you know what it's done? It's humbled me even further. It's had me realize that in a huge way with this platform, I myself has freaking stepped in it. There's really no other way. I don't know. If you can see it, not step in it, then don't step in it. It was hidden, okay? So what am I going to do? Not walk? Not do anything? So I'm grateful for all the realizations and the humbling I've had. I want to get back to the roots, the foundational cornerstone of this platform. Your story matters. Getting other people's voices out there, because your story truly does matter. And the main spark that set me on this path was to give voices to the voiceless. I felt like I had no voice with my Lyme disease. So it was my health challenges that really lit that fire to go on this crazy path. Going from no social medias to podcasting, putting your face out there and all your vulnerabilities, having speech issues with neurological chronic Lyme disease symptoms. Well, there's more than just Lyme disease that's ailing us all. If we lose our health, we lose everything we value and hold dear in this existence. And it couldn't be more crucial. However, I've been humbled. I had amazing chats with folks I look up to in this life. And it was brought to my attention, God is making us. He is making us in this situation. He is taking us to our limits. All of our limits are different. And the solutions, well, as much as we don't want to hear it, is how to deal with it. Get used to it. It's through trials, it's through loss, it's through failures. We yield the most opportunity for growth. Can we grow? Can we seize this moment in time, this very opportunity? Folks, I put hours in behind the scenes on today's episode. Some of the information we'll go over, I've gone over a bit before, but a lot of the clips and pictures and images you may not have seen before. And I want to just continually try myself on better combinations and better combinations and better combinations of information to help light that spark within us. Don't let it get to a chronic state so we could start addressing these issues before it becomes too effective. All that being said, let's officially kick it off. Welcome to a muzzled chat. Let's go ahead and queue up. You know what? I didn't even kick off the live on Instagram. Let's kick that off. So this was an exclusive little spiel on Rumble and soon to be all podcast apps. Folks, I can't even say all podcast apps anymore because once Google bought out Tyrannical YouTube and now pushes all their podcast apps through the YouTube filter of censorship, tyrannical control. I haven't worked on my podcast hope achieving the green check mark to YouTube because we keep getting all the strikes on YouTube. So why even try with these tyrannical platforms? That's why I'm so grateful for Rumble and free speech platforms. It's the only way we're going to actually be able to obtain and go through information like this. A lot of the information we'll go over today, in fact, has been censored on these other tyrannical platforms. Well, this may look familiar. This is the cover image I chose for today's episode. And wow, this just shows us the insanity. We the people fall for this. Come on. And then this one's just saying, can't believe the madness. Come on. These are our health leaders, or were, in America, Belgium, Canada, Britain. You can't make this up. Why are we taking any advice? Oh, I like this guy's comment over here. I'd volunteer, but I guess I'm underweight. Yeah. It's like being at the gym and one of these individuals come up to you and give you a spiel on diet or being a personal trainer. That is insanity. It's truly insanity. So the fact that they've gotten into the positions of health leadership in this world, what? That is very telling. That is very eye-opening. But let's just continue to dive in. Before we actually really get into, we're going to kind of really base a lot of it off of this image right here. But before we do, let's actually hear from this neurological specialist. You know, maybe we'll read that after. But let's hear what she has to say, because I believe she's really on to something and how we have cognitive dissonance and we're not allowing ourselves to even absorb and hear other people. Now, I feel there's other layers to this, and we're going to go over it. So please bear with us. Check out this information. In fact, if you find any of it incorrect, false, I want to hear from you. This isn't shoving information down people's throats. We want to be able to have discussion. And only through discussion will we more accurately, more effectively hone in, because the intent is crucial. It's so important here. All we want is to see the best version of you, the best version of your loved ones. If we can bring health in versus addressing all those other issues, all that other corruption, which I've stepped in it trying to do, I thought, hey, maybe that will bring momentum to the platform. Hey, maybe that will bring more people into these other things. But I'm realizing so many of us have been diminished. We're so unhealthy to a point we're not even willing to hear or absorb information to our own benefit, our children's or our families. And that is a big problem. So I believe a lot of the actual attacks that have been taking place have become so effective that we're losing the energy, the bandwidth, the patience to actually hear things that could lead and would lead these discussions. What more important, if we want to hone in on what is ailing us regarding our health, what more important discussion to have other than sharing information and trying to figure out the root of the issues. So there's a reason why the evil side of things, under misinformation, they're providing the misinformation. They're providing the propaganda. They're censoring this type. They're incentivized. There's clearly a hidden agenda. They don't want us healthy. They want us reliant on their systems, and it's bigger than financial gain. Anyway, let's get into the psychological, and let's gear ourselves to clear our slate and hopefully absorb some of the information today. But once again, chime in, drop comments, reach out to unmuzzledchat@gmail.com. If there's anything you disagree with, I would love to hear it from you directly. Heck, we could even kick off a whole episode and dive in. If you find it truthful and you have more information on any specific topic, or we miss something today that is greatly alarming to you, it's important that collectively we share this information to get to the roots of the issues. That's the intent here, 100%, not manipulation.
Why is it so hard to change someone's mind? Let's talk about it. If you're new to my channel, I'm of course Rachel, the neuroscientist. The brain really doesn't like changing its mind, and that gives rise to things like the confirmation bias, anchoring bias. Confirmation bias means that we'll actually selectively filter out information that is incongruent with our existing beliefs.
Why
Even
is
if we
that?
do process that information, we'll give it a lot less weight than we would with something that actually aligns with our existing ideas. Anchoring bias is where we hold on to the very first thing that we learn about something, and it's hard for us to let go of that, even when we're presented with evidence that suggests that it's not accurate. What a terrible design.
Isn't it interesting? Yeah, what a terrible design. I recently experienced with someone I love, and we're going to keep anonymity. That's important here. I've also stepped in a sense, and I've had to apologize to other individuals as to not keeping anonymity. So that's an important part of this whole game, it seems. But it is more than a game. This is life. And I mean, what an awesome experience. This isn't doom and gloom. What a great opportunity we have to be here right now in this moment. But yeah, what a terrible design that not only are we often, and who else has experienced this? We often shut down and this is where it becomes very difficult, because we're trying to share information out of love because we feel it's going to benefit another individual. But when they, for whatever reason, get bull-nosed, they start experiencing this terrible design, and it's not absorbing as we would like or had hoped, that all of a sudden things become tensionous. And through the tension, it's like things actually can escalate, seemingly more now than ever before. And what is that, by the way? Escalate to a degree that no longer the topic even matters. We even ourselves start losing sight at times, I step in it, is to the love we have for that other individual. And we either got to get up and walk away from the conversation, or it's very challenging to even stop it at that point. Like, hey, can we switch gears? No longer this topic matters. Like, I care for you. I love you. We're not each other's enemies. Why are we going at it? Right? So with that level of experience, it's happening. And I think it's a whole bunch of things. It's the control over information. It's the programming that's taking place. We never really learned how to properly debate and have proper arguments / discussions, agree to disagree, things of that nature. Like, even with family, even with friends, even with loved ones, close individuals in your life that haven't gone anywhere for many years or decades, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's like, why let it go ugly, right? So it's to even, the more we can dive in and understand the psychological, not just that, the neurological, not just that, the body, the spiritual, the emotional, then I don't know, we can in these moments challenge ourselves to not even rise above, because I don't want to use verbiage that is pedestaling, right? Feeding pride or ego or any of the sinful things that are more destructive, because that's not really showing our intent. And that, I guess in these moments, that could be an effective tool we could brush off and have available in our toolbox to just be like, look, we're now outside the intent of even this discussion. The intent was to hone in on such and such issue and hopefully get to the root. I'm kind of long-winded rant here, but the interaction side, we need to start disarming, making it a safe place again to even communicate. We're no longer even challenging ourselves. Forget all the other polarized, like political or whatever, all these other things. That's challenging. But regarding our health, why are we at each other's throats over health? That actually sounds the alarm more, that we really got to hone in and like figure out what's going on there. And especially within ourselves, at the point we're losing sight within a discussion, it actually should sound the alarm and highlight within us the work we need to do. Maybe there's inflammation. Maybe we're not sleeping very well. We shouldn't lose patience within these situations, even ourselves. So there's room for improvement, which is hallelujah. It's not a doom and gloom. It's like we should be excited to do our part. Let's finish up what she has to say, though.
Why are we like this? Well, neuroscientifically speaking, once you learn something, your brain has to restructure and rewire itself. We also instinctively perceive change, uncertainty, unpredictability as inherently dangerous. Sticking to what's familiar can obviously serve as an evolutionary advantage. The last and perhaps more psychological component of that is that our ideas tend to be tethered to our identity, and the brain really doesn't like threats to identity. Your sense of self involves so many different structures, memories, processes in the brain. To rewrite that would be very complicated, and in the daily struggle for survival, potentially fatal.
Is that what it is? It's just too complicated that we ourselves want to dive into? I do believe that some of the attacks, angles of attacks, in the way we're being poisoned in this mortal existence is 100%. This is an outcome. And it's making it more challenging for all of us to, it just becomes easier to get spooled up, chalk someone as a conspiracy theorist, not do research, challenge our beliefs. Everything that has been spoon-fed to us in this life. My gosh, the programming runs deep. It's actually awesome to just wash the slate, relearn things as an adult by research yourself, by no institution, no organized religion, no anything, and seek that understanding for ourselves, establish that relation for ourselves. But I do believe we're on to something right here. What was it? Yes. Well, weak people won't even acknowledge the truth right here and the amazing opportunities it presents. It's true. If we were weak enough and just didn't, if we were sick enough, more, maybe that's better, sick people versus weak people, because weak, that word will trigger offense. But sick, it's making an individual out like, hey, we're honing in on an issue. We're not making them as a person to be the issue. There's always advancement to be had in speech. The art of speech and communication. What a skill or virtue to acquire. Time we all rewire our brains, set ourselves free, become the solutions, your choice. Keep the chains, get put into a smaller and smaller box, or free yourself. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. In a single image, this tells you all you need to know. And this, to me, does. And it's not just what's happening in the skies. We have the proof, folks. We have it. There's legislation. Maybe I should have queued all that up. That's happening in Florida. They're actively trying to ban geoengineering / chemtrails. It's not a conspiracy. There's a difference between a contrail and a chemtrail. But before we get too deep into that, let's just look at this image. If you don't see this as a serious problem, the chemtrails are working. Oh, right here it says somebody had to say it. Let's really sit on that and think. So if we're drinking the spoon-fedness of, oh, this is just condensation, let's just talk about for a second. There's two distinctive trails from jets happening in the sky. And they both, can we identify, they both cannot run under the same definition of what a contrail is. Water vapors and ice crystallization. That's their definition of a contrail. And they're trying to rule every streak in the sky as that definition. But there's two different kinds. There's one that never grows longer and dissipates right behind the jet. It stays the same length. In my eyes, my brain, that meets the definition of water vapors and ice crystallization. It's not going to linger. Ice crystals are not going to linger all day, spread, dissipate like what's happening in this very image. None of this in the sky, in this image, is in fact a natural cloud. In fact, none of it would exist at all minus these dang jets. So there's a difference between the ones that dissipate and then this lingering. And to me, and I've done the research to back it up, it's way beyond just to me. Like, good luck trying to, I'm open to hearing anybody on this topic explaining, oh, there's more to it than that. Come on. Like, I'll humor the conversation. Bring it on. But this meets the definition of spraying. So the question shifts. What the frick are they spraying? Why didn't they bring us to the table? Why don't we have a seat there or any consent to this happening? And I believe right here in this image, it says it all, that we're not seeing this as a problem because really the chemtrails are working. It is having a dumbest down impact. We're struggling more to fulfill our regular duties. More than dumbing us down, it's limiting our ability. So jobs is more encompassing, relations is more encompassing. So we just don't have the patience or the bandwidth with inflammation in our body, not sleeping as good. Our body's not absorbing the nutrients or detoxing like it should. Yet folks wonder why their health is deteriorating. Right here, this image is very powerful. Water vapor does not linger, disperse, and white out the entire sky. You could see the whole development right here of these chemtrails, they're not contrails, the actual spraying that's taking place in the sky. And it's no secret. Like, right here is an Army, I believe an Army officer. She was in the Air Force or something, but she's been blowing the whistle on all this and was behind these programs. Once she started asking questions, it's incredibly telling and alarming what they started chalking her up as a quack. Psych meds, like booting her, silencing her. That says so much. If we ask a question and experience that, like, only bullies, only evil individuals react in that way. It's just like, it should be clear. But once again, these levels of attack have diminished us to even, okay, we're just going to leave it there. I don't want confrontation because I'm just, it triggers something within me and I just want to enjoy life. That's the type of outcome they want with this level of poisoning. But there's a whole, stay tuned. If you already know about chemtrails, we're going to go through a whole bunch. We really want to create a combination of things to, hopefully in the near future, start gearing towards a fix on one of them. The easiest, and it might be the easiest through the chemtrails because Tennessee already passed legislation. Kentucky's working on it. Florida's working on it. So it wouldn't be a conspiracy if it hasn't already been banned, folks. Like, is that in one ear out the other? Like, it's not a conspiracy. It's legitimately happening. Frankenskies covers it. So many other documentaries that will go on futuristically. But just imagine for a second, if we actually created a ban in Arizona or any state, what's that going to lead to? It's going to lead to, hopefully, more health. I guarantee it will, to a degree. Will it be noticeable enough? There's only one way to find out. But if we could really gain momentum on one particular topic, then shoot, let's switch it to cleaning up the water. Let's switch it to eliminating harmful chemicals, poisons, cancerous, carcinogenic materials in our food. Then we can move it on to other things and just continue the momentum in that regard in creating real solutions. That's what we're all about. But it's all going to start here, individually, me, you. Let's build it together. Hear what she has to say. This is incredibly alarming.
One day I was going through that computer system, which if you want to look it up, it's called an Air Force Form 3952. It is the approval of hazardous materials. I was finding tons and tons of large quantities of aluminum, barium, strontium in the forms of oxides and sulfates. I also conducted soil sampling because I thought, you know, if this is real and they are spraying this, it's going to get to the ground. So I conducted air sampling, I conducted soil sampling, and I was getting high levels of these contaminants. When I started asking the question again under a new commander, I never in my life thought I would have somebody look me in the face and tell me, I am questioning you. Is there something wrong with you?
Ooh, that says
You've
so
been looking
much.
really depressed lately.
What?
You know I can put you under a mental evaluation for up to 120 days. Who would take care of your daughter? Because I was divorced at the time.
Who would even do that? Why would they even do that? That genuinely should tell us everything we need to know, that there's something to this. 100%.
I heard that. I knew. It validated everything I ever thought. And I thought, I've spent 9 years of my life trying to protect human health. And here we are violating law after law after law. Just sitting here, instead of protecting the people, we are poisoning the people. And I've never got up so much courage from that fear of being thrown in a cage, because when you're in the military, folks, you're a number and every aspect of your life is controlled. I ran and did not look back. And I have been blowing the whistle and shouting ever since.
Amazing. Oh, it was produced on TikTok. Guaranteed TikTok will not allow. You want to try it? You have a TikTok account. This link is in the description below. What are we on right now? It should be 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be the 5th link down. Just grab that link, post that on your TikTok, experience censorship for yourself. That, just like created the conviction within her, we could experience. Now, they're not going to ban your account on a single thing. So I genuinely challenge you to do that. And please report back to this episode. Hey, James, I successfully uploaded it. They didn't do anything. That would shock me. I'm I pretty much guarantee they will pull that down immediately. Anyways, that tells us a lot. I don't really need to add much to that. It's extremely alarming. But just to look, let's start paying attention and observe how this isn't natural and it dissipates. This right here, oh my gosh, in the air, these jets, look at that. Oh, it's so crazy. That's not ice crystallization of water vapors. And then, you know, the continuum and how they dissipate. There's just so much. Yeah, government be like, this is natural. Really? How are we believing their lies? That is not natural. Oh, we got so much drone spraying. Getting sick of the spraying, we are too. Let's talk about it and how to stop it. Yes, it's beautiful. It's interesting. Combined with HARP and other sound waves, it actually really does explain a lot of these patterns in the sky regarding all of that. Oh yeah, because condensation only affects the wingtip, not from a jet engine, not the other engines, just a wingtip. Yep, that's totally a contrail. Nothing being sprayed here. Like, how dumb do you think they think we are? Oh, this guy.
That can look at this and tell me this is normal is highly misinformed.
Highly misinformed. I don't blame anyone. I'm not here to put shame or guilt or point I'm right, you're wrong. No, not at all. All we want to do is, because we weren't brought to the table on this, bring truth to light and put a stop so we can breathe fresh air. This is something potentially more damning than even the shots to an extent, because we kind of have a choice regarding what goes in our arm through a shot. This we don't. Our children are out there. Our loved ones are out there. And you look at all this tension across the board, man, we got to rule things out like this. He's got other things, you know, let's just speed it up. He's pretty well spoken about it.
This is stratospheric aerosol injection.
Yes. 100%.
There should be a public debate in our country as to whether or not the people consent to having this done. But instead, there are people within our government who chose to go ahead and begin doing this without people's consent. Even though they know it's not safe, they've moved ahead and are doing it right in front of our faces.
They don't care about us. And then now they're censoring this information from getting out, calling it misinformation. Frick, even X is attaching. You know what? That actually says a lot. So this little clip, look, nothing's attached, not many views, not many shares. But when we come over to this individual that has a big following, is more representing, you know, from a place, a respectable place, like a air officer. I can't recall her actual position. We'll just have to look that up. Look what she gets. She gets an attachment stating, oh, conspiracy theory. Well, like, once again, it's being done in legislation. Frankenskies goes over patents, goes over the history dating back to the 1940s. And there were multiple operations, Operation Skyfire, Agent Orange. I have a whole list written out, but they go through so many of them. It's nothing new. And obviously, under the guise of fighting climate change, they're pushing all of this. So this does coincide with this topic. This gentleman, this scientist, actually brings forth such a powerful, just powerful words, right? Reason to just blow up the whole climate change hoax. Of course, we love our planet. Evil, under the guise, like, they'll just wrap a thin truth around a bunch of lies to prey on our heartstrings, deceive us into supporting our demise. And this very beautifully exposes it. Let's give this a watch.
What is climate change? I mean, I think the question that the young lady asked over here is very valid. Young people are highly intelligent, but I wonder whether they're being told, or which they're entitled to, all the facts in relation to this.
Oh my.
When I asked, well, just about.
Look at her conviction Just let her have her moment, soak up, roll her eyes. She's in her head thinking, oh, what a conspiracy theorist, what a quack, what a joke. But listen to what he has to say. And I just wonder if her brain's like too far gone with the programming, this movement, pulling on her heartstrings, maybe a paycheck behind it after this encounter to rule out any rational thinking, critical thinking skills, because what this man states blows all of the hoax completely out of the water.
Alice, you've been speaking for most of the night. When I asked Tanya Plibersek, was the Deputy Leader of the Labor Party and the potential Deputy Prime Minister, was carbon dioxide the big issue in relation to climate change? And she said yes. I then said, well, that being the case, what percentage of the atmosphere is made up of carbon dioxide?
It's a very important question.
Change. Is it carbon dioxide?
Yes, carbon dioxide pollution is a major contributor.
Okay, so can I ask you, this is not a trick question, what percentage of the Earth's air is carbon dioxide?
Oh, I don't know.
And I say, hang on, you don't know what percentage of the atmosphere is carbon dioxide, and yet you're prepared to stand the economy on its head to address a problem, the detail of which you don't know. So when I then explain that the percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, Alice, is how much? Alice, how much of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere?
To answer the question, Scott Morrison has said he believes in climate.
See, look at her conviction. Her conviction so that she's so deeply invested and rooted into this. She's just regurgitating talking points. No longer even a part of the conversation at hand. Say, I don't know. That's a proper, rational response. I don't know. But in saying I don't know, I guess she sees in this moment how it would implicate her and her lack of understanding for the thing she's advocating for. But this isn't a punked moment. This guy isn't solely doing this to punk any individual. It's to shine the light on this hoax. So we understand this hoax. We stop supporting a hoax that is solely honing in on control over our lives, trying to shift us into a electric everything when our grid won't even support that. It's lunacy.
Change,
Alice,
and that he wants to do something about
Alice,
it.
how much carbon dioxide is the problem? How much carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere?
I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
Well, hang on. If you're going to argue the case, you ought to know it's 0.04%. And of that 0.04%, human beings around the world create 3%. And of that 3%, Australia creates 1.3%. But if carbon dioxide is 0.04% of the atmosphere, and human beings are responsible for 3% of that 0.04%, and Australia is responsible for 1.3% of the 3% of the 0.04%.
0.04.
It's like saying there's a granule of sugar on the Harbour Bridge. Clean the bridge.
It's even bigger than that. Just telling them to clean the bridge. It's like, stop the whole world. Stop driving your diesel truck. Stop gas. Use electric, which uses gas. Like, it's so lunacy. This exposes their actual intent, their actual agenda. And it's no secret. They literally have the switch to all electric. Think about how freeing fuel has become for us. I mean, this even, total side note, and I don't mean to be too distracted here, but now it makes sense, is to the individual that not just created an engine that ran on water, but a kit that converts gasoline engines to run on water more efficiently than even gas. Yes, more efficiently than even gas. In his buggy he did it with that made news dating back, like, with 22 gallons, estimated he could go from coast to coast on 22 gallons of water. That's how much more efficient. The world leaders couldn't allow that level of freedom for us. I mean, a pocket full of change and behind the wheel, that's freedom in America and across the world. You now are reliant on systems that they can track you, filling up these electric stations, like that gravely impedes on our freedom. That's what it's about. And then to put all this tax, emission, all these other things. It's clear their agenda. Also control tactics. Also empowering them more with more funds.
Bridge up, it's dirty. Surely if a political party doesn't know the quantum of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, what the hell are we standing the economy on its head for? Demonising coal-fired power, driving everyone into renewable energy, which is not available, not reliable and not affordable, plonking us in electric cars, giving us nearly the dearest electricity in the world when we're rich in energy resources, exporting coal so that China and India and Japan can have cheap electricity, and we sit here swallowing this ideological rubbish, putting industry at risk, jobs at risk, and burying the economy.
So it's just crystal clear. And I need to get back to health-related topic. That's what's important here. But this level of control, pressure, I mean, it's all impacting our health anyways. And it's just crazy. The outcome of that water engine, that individual was killed. All his research went gone. That wouldn't have happened. That would have been so revolutionary in this country. Couldn't have happened. It couldn't have got disappeared the way it did without the involvement of our own government. Just shows the exposure that all these individuals, all these positions of power are not looking after we the people. We the people had the most to gain. And it's being held back from us. It's all relevant. It's all crucial. It's all diminishing our health. The climate thing it's more than a hoax to just control. Clearly, they're using it to do the geoengineering side of things, the chemtrail spraying. And it's interesting. We're going to have an individual on that actually works in a whole other industry and has learned a lot about looking at light. And there's a whole other aspect to the chemtrails that, you know, I more so thought, okay, it's inevitably going to come down. We're going to breathe it. We're going to touch it. It's going to end up leaching into our plant life, and through our plant life, our livestock, and we eat them. And so inevitably, like, it's just going to build these things. And we've gone in depth over it and how detrimental it's been to the bumblebees. And oh, surprise, surprise, Monsanto comes out with a aluminum freaking immune bee, a Frankenstein bee. Like, there's no coincidence to all this stuff, folks. But I digress. It's just the other angle of it is how it emits. It cancels out red light. It emits more blue light, like a silver light, through the particles. So it even creates like that very atmosphere without even breathing it and touching it. It becomes, on a cellular level, there's less luster to this life. We'll let him dive into all of that, but let's continue. Yes, I wrote on this post, even with the lovely piano music, the evil being spewed is easily recognized. They want to control every aspect to our health. They are killing us. How is it not clear? This coming from a demon who said they can lower world population by 50% through health services and vaccinations. Yeah, keep that in mind.
Cows and other grass-eating species.
So after the individual, the scientist talked about and was calling these other ones out, like, hey, how much of CO2 actually is accounted to our whole atmosphere? It's 0.04%. So here we have these supposed philanthropists trying to address cow farts. It's freaking hilarious. Well, it's more scary than hilarious, but we're not to walk in fear. It just exposes their fake meats, everything. It's more control. It's centralizing, cornering our food market. So now we're transitioning a bit from the CO2 back into now our food, because food is a big part of all this.
Have a digestion system that emits methane, and methane is a very powerful greenhouse gas. And so cows alone account for about 6% of global emissions. And
he's pulling percentages out of percentages. It's manipulated data. The atmosphere is 0.04%. Like, CO2 is 0.04% of our atmosphere. So how is he getting a 6% from a cow, which is greater than the actual? So they're manipulating data greatly and people drink it up. We've all been duped. We were blindly entrusting so many people throughout this life. To fight back on that programming, clearing the slate is crucial, and we're not really effectively able to do this with their misinformationists. Like, that's where it's just crucial. The only way we'll get to the truth is on free speech platforms. We lose that, like, good luck. Good luck to all of us.
And so we need to change cows, just cows alone.
How are we going to do that?
Well, actually, of all the categories, the one that has gone better than I would have expected 5 years ago is this work to make what's called artificial meat.
Disgusting.
And so you have people like Impossible or Beyond Meat, both of which I invested in.
He's invested in all
You eat
of
it
them.
as well, and you like it?
Absolutely.
No.
You can go to Burger King and buy the Impossible Burger.
All right. Is it healthier for you or just healthier for the atmosphere?
It's slightly healthier for you in terms of less cholesterol.
It's oh my gosh. It is not health. It's already been linked to cancers, folks. So I can only take so much crock. But yeah, it's such evil individuals with big funding behind them. I don't understand how they're walking the streets freely. Period. And that goes to so many individuals. So right here, GMO carrot grown in China versus homegrown organic carrot. In 2022, scientific review covering 179 articles, GMO consumption was linked to more deaths, tumor or cancer growth, significantly lowering fertility, lowering IQ. So these angles of attack, based on even the scientific data, is they're proving the lowering of IQ, and it's poisoning our bodies to where it's harder to absorb this information. So 100%, we're seeing this right now, and it's important to see it. A, so we could address it. B, I don't really see the solution continually becoming experts and finding the things that are more so nourishment in our bodies and not toxic for our bodies. That's a Band-Aid. We got to stop this. Food, we need to get to a place. Food doesn't need any of the special labels. It actually falls under the definition we define food of nourishment and not toxin filler, right? And the majority of substance on the shelves in our country today is toxic filler, not food, not nourishment, not nutrients. They may have a couple here and there, but they are loaded with chemicals, toxins. It's horrific. And the data is just pouring out. Not from the institutions, not from the food. Oh, you know what? I should have queued up. Big, what is it? These food companies are spending 19 times more on their advertising than they are on ensuring it's safe to consume. And it's working. And we're slopping it up. It doesn't stop there. They're continuing to spend our money on their advancements that's leading to more control and a more dumbing down of all of us. Give this a listen.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Kentucky seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk would designate the amendment.
Amendment number 86, printed in Part F of House Report number 118-216, offered by Mr. Massey of Kentucky.
Pursuant to House Resolution 723, the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massey, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky.
Mr. Chairman, I rise in support of my amendment, which states that none of the funds made available by this act may be used to fund any grant related to any transgenic edible vaccine. Does the term transgenic edible vaccine sound far-fetched? Well, it's not. We're funding it. In fact, scientists from the University of California, Riverside, funded with your taxpayer dollars, have been studying whether they can turn edible plants, such as lettuce and spinach, into mRNA vaccine factories, thereby creating a transgenic edible vaccine. One associate professor at UCR explained that ideally a single plant would produce enough mRNA to vaccinate a single person. We are testing this approach with spinach and lettuce and have long-term goals of people growing it in their own gardens. Farmers could also eventually grow entire fields of it. I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think the American people should be funding this.
Yes.
I think, and I would hope, that we've learned something from the COVID experience with SARS-CoV.
How are they spending money on things we don't even know about, yet didn't have a seat at the table, didn't approve? What in the frickin' heck? And by the way, totally confirmed, they have been successful in the mRNA in lettuce, in tomatoes, in tobacco products, and that's as far as we know. And now they've been injecting it into the majority of our livestock for some time. You could look up Dr. McCullough. He's actually dove into, and they got legal action happening. They have science groups that are looking into the impacts to see if those mRNA vaccinations in our livestock are, in fact, an effective way in transferring over to humans. Nonetheless, I believe it's greatly diminishing the nutrients and boosting the toxin load regardless. So any of the outcome, I'm sure it's going to be horrific, any outcome, but could you believe that they're trying to get us vaccinated without our consent through our food? Come on. It's right here.
Some of our science projects aren't the best ideas. And with that, I reserve.
Gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Well, my colleague on the other side of the aisle talks about keeping prices low. I think there's more to it than that for the American people. And he also speaks as if these vaccines, these transgenic edible plant vaccines, are only used for livestock. Well, in fact, they have been used for livestock. I'll get to that in a second. But they're also being used for people. That is the intended outcome of many of these programs that we are funding with money from the USDA. What could possibly go wrong with this research? Well, we found out a few years ago when a biotech company was experimenting, growing in corn a vaccine to keep pigs from getting diarrhea. What happened? Well, the next year where the corn was grown, the prior year, the corn came up. And it got commingled with soybeans that were being grown there. It contaminated 500 bushels of soybeans, which were then commingled with 500,000 bushels of soybeans.
Not good.
And those all had to be recalled and destroyed. Luckily, they caught it. Do we want humans eating vaccines that were grown in corn meant to stop pigs from getting diarrhea? I don't think we want that to happen.
Right.
Yet that almost happened, and it could happen. There's another case where the pollen cross-contaminated another crop of corn, and 155 acres of corn had to be burned.
Did you know about that?
What are the cases where we're not discovering this? I think it's dangerous to play God with our food. I think we need a safe food supply.
Yep.
And this is about food safety. Ultimately, the people in this country need to know what's in their food.
Yes.
And if we start contaminating the DNA of our food with DNA from other animals or viruses, the pollen could spread, and we don't know what could happen. And I would hope we learned a lesson from the Wuhan lab that sometimes things escape. Sometimes things don't go as you plan. And so that's why I think it's a bad idea to fund transgenic edible plant vaccine research from the USDA. I urge adoption of my amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
See, I get that the majority of us, we can't afford to stop and face any of these topics full time. And yes, any one of them is full time. That's where I'm trying to help bridge the gap. Put me in the war. I'll be on the front lines on all your behalfs. But ultimately, it's kind of coming to... I'm trying to be realistic in this whole adventure, and that's why I really want to hone in potentially futuristically on one singular thing. And if we can move the needle on that one singular thing, great. Maybe we'll gain more of the support because we're building momentum to address other issues. And if that's making sense to you, like somehow, some way, I need to ensure I survive the process too. Lights stay on, and I have food to eat. And it doesn't take much to continue to have me continue to fight this battle on the front lines and keep this my full time. It doesn't take much, but we've been nowhere near that, frankly, after a year of all this. And yes, I'm coming to a realization. I shot myself in the foot. I covered too many topics. I thought we could build momentum on just covering the vastness of everything. But when I really hone in on like the number one issue, the number one most censored topic I've experienced is regarding our health. So that tells me evil in this world, above all, that's their main hand. And if they could diminish our health, then everything naturally, all their other tactics of controlling the economy and the financial markets and having prices and hyperinflation, things of that nature, that also squeezes us. But ultimately, if we maintain our health and our neurological function, then we can connect the dots. We can unify. We could set down our differences and actually hold our state officials accountable, our sheriffs accountable, our different branches of military servicemen accountable to fulfill your oath, fellas, ladies, and fight these foreign or domestic threats. We can't allow these big corporations, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, to buy out everything, centralize everything. We can't allow these things to continue. So please, I'm pleading I'm pleading to help keep me on this path on your behalf. I'm here to listen to you all and address these issues. Come up with legit, tangible results and solutions. And I do believe that chemtrails, with the other legal action that's taking place, may be the number one thing we could address right here. Not maybe, we will address right here in Arizona, and it will bleed to other states. And then once we have that beat, then shoot, let's get drinkable water. How is it the EPA standard is less, the maximum contamination level is 500 parts per million? My tap right here is over 500 parts per million. That is unacceptable. Under 500 is unacceptable. It needs to be below 200. 200 is like a norm, deemed a normal level. And we're accepting over 500. We can't even imagine. And we're going to dive into that. It's going to transition. There's some very shocking information RFK brings forward regarding our water. And we can actually see the potential impacts it's playing out around us with the imbalances, hormonal, all these other issues. So if you want to keep, because if I got to go back to 9 to 5 just to survive this existence, well, then more of us are going to have to stop what we're doing and get more engaged. It's either a lot of us get barely more engaged, like a whole bunch of us, that will make the change, or a smaller number more extremely getting engaged. So help us bridge that gap. Look also in the description below. We got a direct Venmo, Cash App, GoFundMe, buy me a coffee link. Any little bit helps. Any bit that comes through. $5 here and there. No one's got to shoulder the burden alone. If someone's sitting on $1 million in their couch, frick, donate, reach out to me personally. I will account for every single penny. We will put that 100% to use. Put me in. I am so convinced that this is the number one issue we should be focused on. Because if we can up our health, then we can up our discussions, we can up the debate, we can up the focus, our clarity to address the bigger issues. 100%. They've just diminished us to a point where we're just even so demoralized. A lot of individuals that have lifted the veil, have done their research, they've more so become black-pilled and have lost hope. And ultimately, it is irrelevant whether we entirely right the ship in this life or not. All roads lead to God, and I feel with upping our health, we will more so save souls, and people will fall into the purpose, why we were put in this particular time, than fall short because things end up chronic and we're just focused on our health. Once it's gone, my gosh, been there with this Lyme disease. It is no joke, and I don't wish that upon any of you. So here's one of the interactions. It's not the one I was talking about with RFK, but there's more. There's more to come, so stay tuned. What more do we need to know? I'm not here to shame anyone who has gotten shots or given them to their children, simply trying to share how dangerous it actually is and how corrupt they all have become. You can connect all the rest. We simply want to see you all healthy again.
One of the biggest controversies surrounding your candidacy is your stance on childhood vaccines. Nearly every scientific and medical organization, including the CDC, the FDA, the AMA, the American Academy of Pediatrics, all say you're wrong on this issue. This leads us to our very first question from our audience. It's Dr. Tariq Butt, who specializes...
I would ask you one thing. On what issue?
This is so good.
On childhood vaccines.
What about them?
And whether they ever cause autism or damage kids. They all say these vaccines have saved millions of lives.
They never damage kids.
I don't think anybody has said they never have. There might be a child here, but overall, all those organizations say vaccines are safe and have saved millions and millions of lives.
Based on manipulated data.
Question from Dr. Butts.
Good evening. Eradication of chickenpox and polio from the US and many parts of the world is a direct result of regular vaccines. Measles, mumps, rubella, and many diseases are preventable, and there is little to no evidence of these diseases in vaccinated population. Your vaccine stance is dangerous to the health and well-being of millions.
Oh my God.
Medical experts are deeply concerned about your message. How can we help you to come to the side of science?
What was the question? How can you help me come to my senses?
No.
Side of science.
You are a very smart person.
Come to the side of manipulated science, everything you've been spoon-fed from the organizations that have every incentive to push their product down people's throat and no incentive to actually breathe health and wellness. That would be a bad business model for them. Why are you trusting them? Why are you blindly entrusting? Why is this talking head so convinced herself? Look how she barks back on a data. And if they just paused the conversation in that moment and said, hey, Provide that proof, please. Provide the proof to what you just boldly regurgitated. And she wouldn't be able to do it. But she would only regurgitate the things that have been regurgitated to her. It's crazy.
Okay, so, I think most people don't know what my stance is on vaccines. I've never been anti-vaccine. And
Never
I've said
been
that hundreds and
anti-vaccine.
hundreds of times, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because that is a way of silencing me. Using that pejorative to describe me is a way of silencing or marginalizing me.
Right. Well said.
My position on vaccines, I think, virtually every American would agree with my stance on vaccines, which is that vaccines should be tested like other medicines.
Yes.
They should be safety tested. And unfortunately, the vaccines are not safety tested. They're not. Of the 72 vaccine doses now mandated, essentially mandated, they're recommended, but they're really mandated.
Right.
For American children, none of them, not one, has ever been subject to a pre-licensing placebo-controlled trial.
Yes, they have.
There's her bark. Yes, they have. No. You could pause the conversation and direct it directly to her, but he overrides her and even goes way higher up, and he'll prove they haven't. Here it is.
Yeah, they have.
No, they haven't.
Let me just say something. Dr. Fauci and many other people for many years said this. Yeah, Bobby Kennedy, when he says that, is wrong. So I met with Dr. Fauci in 2016, and I agreed to go on Trump's Vaccine Safety Commission, and I was with Aaron Siri and Lynn Redwood and a number of other people, and we said to him, can you show us one test from any vaccine, pre-licensing safety test? And he said, I'll send it to you. I can't find one now. He never did. So we sued him. We sued Aaron Siri and I sued HHS. And after a year of litigation and stonewalling, they said that they could not provide a single safety study for any vaccine that is on the childhood schedule, pre-licensing safety study.
A single one. That's it. RFK is doing us all such a big favor right now. He's coming from a place, look, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. If there's anything that actually proves, and this is the manipulated data right here, because essentially what he's saying is none of these peer-reviewed, none of these scientists, none of these companies are actually providing, let's say, the only information that matters is an unvaxxed person versus that unvaxxed person getting any one of these shots and it leading to benefit. They're not providing that information because they know what the answer is. It isn't beneficial. There's more damning outcomes to every single shot, including the flu shot, the COVID one, every single childhood vaccine schedule one. And they've indoctrinated us. They've programmed us with the fear of all these other things where other scientists have brought, let's say, the whole polio. They've brought the data and information forward. Too many parents, nurses, doctors, and all they are doing are regurgitating the data that is being regurgitated to them. Because, bear with me, these scientists have actually gone through, they've looked at the natural herd immunity, and the graph polio was entirely trickling out prior to the vaccine rollout. but they so ingeniously interjected that right here at the bottom of the graph, right before it trickled out, and they actually proved by rolling out the polio vaccine, it perpetuated the very thing it was supposed to fight. But since they caught it on the natural swing of things so precisely, they were able to put the label on the shot as to what ended polio. Unbelievable. And there's other swings where actually get tied into they created the problem and they created the solution. It's so clear. So we need the data. Otherwise, as it is right now, there's no informed consent on any of it. It's just all propaganda. It's all lies because they're not providing none of the other information. When you're creating vaxxed on vaxxed data that shows good things, what does that mean when it's not someone that doesn't have that shot and they get the shot? That's the data that freaking matters. That's the only data that matters. Hence, everything they've provided is manipulated to an outcome that benefits their bioweapons, their bottom line.
So anybody who wants to read that can go to the Children's Health Defense website, and you can read HHS's admission that not a single one has ever been safety tested pre-licensing. Now, what I've said is other medicines are required to do that. And we should have to do that for vaccines. If I'm wrong, show me the test. Show me.
What? Yes, I love it. What a great approach. Why is it those other pharmaceuticals and drugs don't have the immunity that these vaccine companies have? They don't have to provide that data right now. And it's insanity that we're accepting these things, this basically mandated schedule. The programming within us runs so deep. Do we need to go back to the doctor's psychological, once we believe something, that belief, or that whether it's fictional, whether it's flawed, it becomes a core belief nonetheless that we associate our identity to, and we become, and that's where I believe through our society and through pride, ego, evil, deception, we have a really hard time even being accepting to any information that challenges that core belief.
I mean, the study, you won't be able to, because there are none. That means that we don't know what the long-term risks are, the risk profile of those products.
We didn't. However, we're seeing it. Chronic illness is on a rampage right now. Autism within children, diabetes, cancers, heart defects, neurological defects, all the woke agenda. I mean, that's a very destructive one in and of itself. Depression, suicide, like autoimmune diseases. It's all rampant. So regarding shots, I mean, let's just play this quick little clip from Dr. McCullough.
As a doctor, I have never seen something so injurious to the human body. It invades the brain. It invades the heart. It causes brain and heart damage. It invades the bone marrow. It stimulates antibodies to actually start to attack our own platelets and other cells in our body. It causes blood clotting and damage to blood vessels like we've never seen. Data from University of Pittsburgh suggesting it causes cancer. Since when do we have a protein that actually injures the brain, injures the heart, the bone marrow, the immune system, causes blood clotting, and potentially causes cancer in a single protein? It's a weapon. In fact, there are 3 papers, one by Farkas, published in Military Medicine, and 2 by Yen, published in preprint. They've actually concluded it is a bioweapon. It is a bioweapon. According to strict military criteria, it's a bioweapon.
Wow.
As a doctor.
Coming from a doctor. And he's specifically, exclusively talking about the COVID shot. Once again, we're not here to demonize anyone that got any of these shots, right? The whole purpose of this is to breathe health, to call out the propaganda so we could properly educate ourselves, lead us to health. And for those that have gotten a slew of these things through this information, through the groundbreaking research, Dr. McCullough and so many others that are being suppressed, are literally their lives are being threatened by, I mean, think about the money they're going against, not to mention the evil agendas, right? From the globalists that talk about world population control, depopulation being a big issue because global warming, climate change, that's where it's all tied in together. But they've actually been coming out with groundbreaking research, bringing health back into people that have gotten these things. Anyone that ended up getting them, that is crucial information for you, your family, your children, anyone that's gotten this stuff, to actually breathe health back in. More importantly, also important to not continue to line up for this stuff. It's crucial. So there's multiple angles of attack. We've brushed on food, air, vaccines, water a bit, more on water here in a bit. But this right here, it's a TED Talk. We'll continue to play it. Like, why are we not hearing what they have told us out loud? What they themselves are in fact saying. Like, health is crucial. We need the best versions of everyone so we can actually fulfill our purpose here and bring back light and purpose and meaning and all the beautiful things to this existence. How is this not absorbed and going in one ear and out the other for the masses? I don't know. Help me on this one. Please drop a comment in the comments below.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
What?
Well, common sense would tell you if you have a man standing in front of you saying he's going to reduce the world's population by 10 or 15% using vaccines, what does that mean to you? It means somebody's going to die because you put a vaccine in them. It doesn't mean you're going to save people. That's pretty much common sense in my brain. But yet I saw him say it. He said it. And here we are. I don't know. Here we are. I'm now an anti-vaxxer. I wasn't before.
Now, the world today has 6.8.
I mean, no comment. There's so many other world leaders today. World Economic Forum, World Health Organization. They're all part in stating all these things. Humans are now hacked by animals. They now have the technology to control the masses. Look at this report right here. Cancer was practically unknown until cowpox vaccination began to be introduced in 1853. Wow. They figured it out quite some time ago. I have had to deal with 200 cases of cancer, and I never saw a case of cancer in an unvaccinated person. This is W.B. Clark, New York Press, 26 January 1909. That's a powerful one. That's definitely one. It's in the links below. Save it, send it, research it yourself. We've known this for so long. I genuinely do believe this image is now what, unfortunately, we're dealing with. If you don't see this as a serious problem, the chemtrails are working. You could change the image to the vaccines and children. If you don't see this, then the vaccines are working. You could change this image to food. If you don't see this as a problem and all the chemicals and carcinogenic, then the centralization and control of food is working. You could change this to our tap water. Same thing. All right, well, there's more to even continue on. Where was I? Okay, right here. Boom. All right, here's Stu Peters on this new FDA study finds vaccines are loaded with cancer. What? They are killing our kids. And as he states often, they will face extreme accountability. I hope he's successful in his mission.
Creation and implementation of deadly child.
Ooh, sorry, as I vet things I mashed through. Let's go 1.25.
Vaccines that quite literally inject our children with cancer cells. And of course, he's the one who sat in front of Congress over and over again, lying under oath and claiming that the COVID death jabs were safe and effective. But guess what? He knew that they weren't. He knew that none of them were.
That's why they wanted to hide the information.
And it's not just Fauci, it's the entire U.S. government.
Yep, it's why our government's censoring us.
According to a 2019 report from the Activist Post, quote, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has published shocking results which found the cells used in manufacturing of numerous childhood vaccines are often contaminated with serious viruses, including cancer. The FDA study looked at vaccines that are made from living cells or replicated cell substrates that some manufacturers are investigating to create. According to research, these cells are oftentimes contaminated with hidden viral fragments which have the potential to cause cancer. These viruses are dormant, meaning they live quietly inside of our cells. However, eventually, these cells no longer hide and circulate throughout the body in the form of serious disease. As a result,
what is keeping parents from doing their own research? They're just trying to keep up with the Joneses because all the Joneses around them are vaccinating their children, and oh, you don't want to stand out in your school board meetings or something? Like, what is keeping us from protecting our children, our loved ones, and ourselves?
A person injected with a vaccine containing these cancer-causing microorganisms may not display signs of health complications until long after they have been jabbed, sometimes even several years later, end quote. Now, this was before COVID.
What?
This
no
was
one knew
before
of it.
Our fake government and its partners around the world injected billions of people with a bioweapon of mass destruction that has caused more death and more suffering and more cancer than any other so-called vaccine in human history. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they know exactly what they're still continuing to do to this very day. They've known it for a very long time. That 2019 data was just reassurance. Reassurance to let them know that their plans were working and that they were finding success in killing off their own people and people around the world. This is all intentional. This is all coordinated. It's all orchestrated. And the people behind it need to be held accountable. All of the doctors, all of the scientists, all the big pharma executives, all of these government stooges, they should all be dragged in front of a tribunal and face maximum accountability, extreme accountability for what they have done. They need to be rounded up and charged with genocide and crimes against humanity. They need to be put on trial, and when they're convicted, they need to be executed. Indict them, try them, and fry them. That is the only solution to this, because these people, these demons like Anthony Fauci, the mass murdering mad scientist baby killer behind everything from AIDS to COVID, are demons who want you and your family, particularly your kids, dead. They want you to suffer. They want you to get sick. They want cancer and other diseases to be coursing through your veins and eat away at your body and eat away at your entire life, and then they want you buried.
I love this man's
And now, just as people are starting to wake up to what they have done, they want to be let off the hook. They want Joe Biden to sign his name on the dotted line to forgive and to forget everything that they have done, but we will never forget.
Tell them, Stu.
And these people will be held to account.
I love it. Thank you. Such passion. I'm so grateful that at least his platforms are blowing up and he's getting so much information out, calling out the actual individuals. Now, ultimately, let's just calm it down. I love his passion, but let's calm it down. Let's focus the intent here. The intent is to breathe health and function into all of us. That is the goal. That is the results we're looking for. Currently, the path we've been on, introducing more and more childhood vaccine schedule, more and more every year, worse things are just skyrocketing. Autism, all these immune deficiencies, chronic illness, cancer, it's hand in hand. It's completely in sync. This individual here, unbelievable. Dr. Batar, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but he was doing mega conferences, very well-decorated man, individual, and you can just see as you watch this, holy smoke, who in fact is really spreading the misinformation. It's all the talking heads, it's all the news organizations, because the jury's out, the information's out. It can become painful for me to watch clips like this because you can see the power of information control, censorship, how they project the misinformation on the actual truth tellers when they are fulfilling the misinformation, disinformation, and actual war propaganda for a paycheck. And it disgusts me, but it's important to flash back because why would we ever tune into these stations? Ever. Listen to what they say, how they corner and manipulated us into, the media was more complicit in the pushing of something harmful. And what's crazy, they tried combating that information, but to this day, people haven't even absorbed the VAERS data itself, their own reporting system, all the adverse effects, all the deaths. There are more deaths recorded on the VAERS reporting system than triple all other deaths since the reporting system began, all vaccines combined in this single rollout. Why are we not absorbing that? They've gravely manipulated the data. More people get the died suddenly diagnosis, and it doesn't get correlated to the shot. And there's a Harvard study that actually proves the VAERS reporting system is in fact accounting for less than 1% of the actual deaths. More on that. I mean, we could prove right here. Yeah, right here. There is a 40% increase of mortality being reported through insurance companies. Let's just play the beginning of this before we dive into that other one.
Among healthy working age people worldwide is skyrocketing. Here in America, it was up 40% during the third and fourth quarters of 2021. Our next guest contends a 10% jump would have been a 1 in 200 year event.
1 in 200.
This was 40%.
Life insurance companies have reported an overwhelming and unexplainable increase in all-cause deaths among 18 to 49-year-olds. Along with that, there's also been an increase in certain medical diagnoses, such as miscarriages and Bell's palsy.
We can't even fathom. We're not properly acknowledging. I myself, within my own small circles, have seen loved ones in my own life go down due to the outcome of all this. And they're continually dropping, and we're not adding to the statistics. They're part of that less than 1% being attributed. Like they're outside. They're proving that Harvard study true.
You think Dr. Fauci is involved in some kind of plot to kill millions of people? I just want to make sure I understand.
Again, Drew, I'm a reasonable person. You asking me what I think, and I said it could be this, but I can tell you that Dr. Fauci is not an innocent bystander. He's very well aware of what he's doing, and the extent of it, his involvement, I don't know. I'm not privy to that information.
As atrocious as Dr. Patar's fake conclusions and conspiracy theories are.
As atrocious, you hear the weaponization of words. This word's painful. These talking heads, these organizations, to maintain the control over the narrative, they had the bullhorn. And it's only until recent we've more so as a people erected the free speech platforms and are able to obtain and see the real numbers, see the real horrific outcomes. But this was in the height of it all. Unfortunately, this doctor's no longer with us. He was undoubtedly murdered. It was recently after this interview. Unbelievable.
He is just one of the doctors spreading dangerous COVID disinformation to millions of people across social media, according to the Center for Countering Digital Hate. Dr. Rashid Buttar at one time had more than 1 million followers and is considered one of the top spreaders of disinformation about COVID-19.
More people are dying from the COVID vaccine than from COVID.
That is not true. Neither is his tweet that the Red Cross won't accept blood.
It was 100% true. Oh my gosh, these freaking liars.
From people who have had the COVID-19 vaccine. He posted, most who took COVID vaccines will be dead by 2025. But his biggest whopper is the overarching conspiracy theory.
Okay, overarching. Do we need to go back to this 40% increase being reported from insurance companies? The data is right there before our eyes, yet these ones persist on the lies and propaganda.
That COVID was a planned operation, which was politically motivated as part of a secret global plot to depopulate the earth. You believe the pandemic was planned?
I do.
Okay. But you don't.
We just played Bill Gates. Bill Gates himself, if they do a really good job through health services and vaccinations, they can lower the world population by 10 or 15%. That isn't helping people. Once again, like the gentleman said so eloquently, that common sense would tell you that's murdering people. That's not helping people. You know, I can't even tolerate this these true misinformationists, but it becomes clear. This man, the fact they banned, censored, and murdered anyone with the courage and the means to get the real data, the real truth, and I mean, that also says it all. Can we now see the dangers of censorship? These individuals do not care about us. There's a lot of useful idiots, don't know what they're doing. They're just getting paid. There's individuals that more nefariously are in the know, and maybe through bribes, through the Epstein log, through things of that nature, they get good people to comply with these evil agendas. And next level is actual satanic worship in and of itself. No regard to God's children, no regard for human life, you or I. It's them, it's power, it's control, it's this two-tiered infrastructure that clearly exists, not just in this country, but all over the world. Let's wrap this one up.
Have you noticed how so many young people are dying of heart attacks? I know I've spoken about this in the past
So
repeatedly,
sad.
but there's a need to talk more about this
Yes,
and try
there
and
is.
understand why heart attacks are suddenly claiming young lives.
The pandemic has helped fuel a rise in the number of fatal cardiac arrests across the country, according to a new report. Let's bring in today's Ashlyn Krukellis in Brisbane for us. Morning, Ashlyn. What are health experts saying?
Jane, they say the data is concerning, and that's because it shows within the first 8 months of 2022, more
Proves all
than
the lies
10,200 Australians
talking
died
heads.
due to heart-related disease, and that number is considered 17% higher than what would be considered normal.
The CDC finding 16 to 24-year-olds who received the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine have experienced higher than normal cases of myocarditis and inflammation of the heart muscle. Myocarditis symptoms can include fever and fatigue, shortness of breath, and chest pain. The CDC said the higher rate of cases occurred especially among young men following their second dose of an mRNA vaccine.
So this is basically accelerated as the vaccine rollout or the number of boosters, or how do you understand this?
Yeah, myocarditis itself, yeah, absolutely. I think all cardiovascular conditions have got worse because of the vaccine.
It's okay, guys. We got this.
Anything and everything that can go wrong with the heart has gone wrong with the heart as a result of these mRNA vaccines. There's no doubt about it.
And yet they want to put it in our food. They want to put it in our food. They want it. I mean, this beginning is so
Among
powerful.
healthy working age people worldwide is skyrocketing. Here in America, it was up 40% during the third and fourth quarters of 2021.
40% during the third and fourth quarters of 2021, reported through multitude of even health insurance payout. Like they have the mortality rates because they cover the life insurance of individuals. It's insane. We can't even fathom that. Like they stated it, a 10% would be one in every 200 year potential crazy pandemic. Yeah, 40%. That's unheard of. We're not grasping as to how detrimental this has been. And every batch has been different in a sense that it's not just today, tomorrow, they were all different. So the impact is going to vary on individuals, and we're all different prior to going into all that. Anyway, let's not get too caught up on all the shots. This is actually good news that they're moving forward, but it's also proof as to those institutions, CNN, ABC, Soup, News, as I call them, including Fox, are all complicit, and now there's actual suits happening. Let's listen to this real quick.
Thank you for being here today. We brought together this press conference to make the following announcement, and that is today Kansas is filing a civil suit against the Pfizer Corporation under the Kansas Consumer Protection Act, seeking enhanced civil monetary penalties, damages, and injunctive relief for misleading and deceptive statements made in marketing its COVID-19
misinformation.
Vaccine. Pfizer also violated previous consent judgments with the state of Kansas, in which Pfizer promised never to use deceptive information to market their products. Kansas's case is the first of a multi-state collaboration, with Kansas being the first of 5 states to file suit. Before I go further, let me put this in context. As we all know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a great deal of panic and anxiety. Many people who were elderly or who suffered from various medical conditions had already died when the vaccines became available. And when that time came, when the vaccines became available, every one of us had to make 2 decisions. Am I going to take the vaccine? And if so, which vaccine will I choose to take? And these decisions were being made in a hurry. In some ways, you could say even being made under duress.
Yep.
In such an environment, it is imperative that Kansans making that decision receive the truth.
By the way, folks, we're gonna step out of the whole vaccine. This is just clearly this, with the information we have, becomes more telling because there's more censorship on this. You can't kick off a TikTok and say vaccine, period. You could be a pro-vaccine and it will still be censored, pulled down immediately through their algorithm. So this particular topic does help us expose the level of tyranny, censorship, control, but it's everything health related. So it does go beyond the scope. You know what? We'll just even call it good on there. This is worth a watch. There's only, less than 5 minutes left on this clip. I almost feel impressed to finish it out, but it's all good. And the truth is there's overwhelming information. To even be selective on what is shown here today, I mean, there was hours that went into this. It's not just trying to come up with the creative combination that will be most impactful and open our eyes to all these angles of attack and how corrupt it's been. But we want to, more importantly, bring futuristically solutions. I see them more as band-aids, things that will level us up currently, but solutions to addressing any one of these issues. Let's maybe start with deleting the chemtrail spray, move it to water, move that to food, move that to these harmful shots and beyond. And when we delete these things naturally, I believe across the board, people's health will improve to where we're not going to fall prey to their woke wars, to their racial wars, to their political divides, and see past the propaganda, be able to call it out, laugh, in fact, take action, get on free speech platforms and not support tyrannical ones. All these are amazing steps that we all have the power within us to address these issues. So even beyond like these other topics, like this right here, in the pre-planning, COVID was planned years in advance. How do we know this? They told us. It's all right here. So as much as we want to move past the COVID, it is an angle of attack that was directly put on all of us. But there's more pressing attacks that are happening right now, 100%. But this tells us that it's beyond money. It's beyond a business infrastructure. There legitimately is an agenda behind it. And it is a depopulation agenda, just like that doctor was bringing to light before they murdered him, before even a bigger conference took place. If you actually looked into his death, it is unbelievable. And the more freaking stuff they kicked out to diminish what he stood for also becomes incredibly telling.
In the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus.
If we get an airborne
2017
pandemic, if we haven't built...
By the way, Barack Hussein Obama was the one who passed legislation allowing the talking heads to spew propaganda. You could look up the bill yourself. I wish I had it in the back of my mind. I'm not that intelligent and have that kind of memory. But he passed the bill allowing news outlets to spew propaganda. Yeah, it happened. And ever since then, there was a grave shift and no longer news. We still saw them as news for some reason when they were weaponized against us. That's all that bill did, was weaponize those organizations against us, and they no longer were news, just propagandist outlets.
Ahead of time, some structures to deal with this. Millions of people could be adversely impacted.
But also there will be a
2017
outbreak. The next administration, that
freaking
there's no
rat.
doubt in anyone's mind that they will be faced with the challenges that their predecessors were faced with.
Pandemic prevention and preparedness is going to end up being, whether the administration likes it or not, a priority, a top priority.
Trump is now president. When he faces his first major epidemic, as his predecessors have, he will likely project impulsivity, xenophobia, and cavalier attitude towards facts to over 52 million followers.
Interesting. We may yet again have another pandemic, and it is almost inevitable that we will have another pandemic.
Welcome to Event 201.
Of what's looking like it will be
be a severe pandemic.
A new coronavirus.
Why don't we blow the system up and then say, hey, everyone in the world should get this new vaccine we haven't given to anyone yet?
Wow. But it is not too crazy to think that an outbreak of a novel avian virus could occur in China somewhere. We could get the RNA sequence from that and print those vaccines on a patch and self-administer.
Proving, okay, that this was planned years in advance. How do we know this? They say it themselves. Well, they were creating the problem through propaganda, through a defective test. The test itself would have blew all of their stuff up in the beginning. That's why they censored so heavily groups and individuals that tested tap water, tested fruit, tested pigs, tested bird, open package, closed package, send it in, false positive. They were blowing the lid off of false positive. Like, this testing in and of itself has negative efficacy. With that in and of itself, like, the pandemic doesn't exist. Define COVID. What's COVID? It's never been to this day isolated in the wild. Anyone that knows me, and they talk about, oh, when I had COVID, I'm like, wait. We can't use that talk around me. Like define COVID when it hasn't been isolated in the wild, and the testing for this COVID had negative efficacy. Like, crickets. They typically give me the fluoride stare. I'm not trying to punk them. I'm just not. Let's stop with the propaganda, regurgitating talking points. Surely we all got sick. Surely there was something. But is Dr. Artis uncovering things of that nature, things that were put in our water, the parts per million I saw spike. I'm going to gather all the documented pictures and date stamps and things to that nature where, because it was prior to the pandemic, I installed a RO system that, in fact, oh, interesting. I wonder if I could pull that. Let me pull this up on the screen here. Let me see. Yep, it's going to do a crazy mirror. But Instagram has disconnected the stream. They currently disconnect. No, that's not how it goes. So ultimately, Instagram dropped the stream, no doubt, due to what we're covering. Surprise, surprise. We are in this live experiencing censorship. Yeah, I'm not surprised. So, where even was I? Can I even recall the censorship? The plan. I totally lost. Forgive me. Maybe that's just telling me I'm doing a bit too much ranting. This says it all right here. Can folks still believe their programming on these shots being supposedly life-saving? Look into this information themselves. This is short, 35 seconds. If anything, save this clip, share this clip, and question, like, can folks look into this for themselves, what he brings to the table right here, because it's referring to their own pages, or is simply asking folks to do their own research before injecting a foreign substance into their arms or their children's arms, asking too much. We're just having people look into it. So powerful. Listen to this.
Am I to pull from this that none of the vaccines, including the COVID vaccine, has not been properly tested?
Yes, it hasn't.
Absolutely. Not a single childhood vaccine, I could tell you, has gone through a placebo-controlled clinical trial of sufficient duration and power to assess that it was safe before being injected into millions of children in America. All right. I can say that categorically, not because it's my opinion, but because anybody who goes to the FDA website could see that for themselves by looking at the package insert and the underlying clinical trial documents that are available on the FDA website.
Very good. Let's
replay this.
Pull from this that none of the vaccines, including the COVID vaccine, has not been properly tested.
Absolutely. Not a single childhood vaccine, I could tell you, has gone through a placebo-controlled clinical trial of sufficient duration and power to assess that it was safe before being injected into millions of children in America. All right. I can say that categorically, not because it's my opinion, but because anybody who goes to the FDA website could see that for themselves.
Anyone that goes to the FDA website can see that for themselves. That's a simple ask here. Not a single one of them. It's all been vaccinated information against vaccinated information. Everything they've provided, they make all these bold claims, nothing to back it up. It's all manipulated data. And we've taken it. We've all been guilty. Hook, line, and sinker. Let's not continue to lie to ourselves or walk down paths that are clearly not to our benefits or our loved ones. There shouldn't be anything controversial like that. Information in and of itself, it's like we have been duped. We have been lied to. We have been too entrusting and hopeful that others wouldn't be so evil. Well, evil has been here since the dawn, Adam and Eve. Clearly, it's infiltrated more than we've wanted to admit. And I believe the disconnect on admitting and continually lying to ourselves is just proof is to this. We're not seeing it because the thing that's being done has been working. That is the intended outcome of all these attacks. Okay, this is a powerful clip. Let's hear RFK on this one.
I just want to make this clear. I don't want to take vaccines away from people, but people should have informed choice.
Yes.
So they should have good science.
Good science.
That tells them the costs and the benefits of these products. Yes. And particularly since they're being ordered to use them. 76 million kids a year are required to use them. And they're healthy children. So it's the only medical product that's given to healthy people. You want a product like that to be extra solid, to make sure there's no risk. Because you can take, there's certain risks that you'll take if you're sick to get better.
Of course.
But if you're not sick, and you shouldn't be required to take a product unless it is ironclad, unless
ironclad. Yes.
What all the costs and benefits are. And the problem with vaccines is there's no vaccine on that schedule, that's 72 vaccines, that has ever gone through a pre-licensing safety study, placebo-controlled trial against a real placebo. And that's wrong because that means that nobody knows what the risk profiles are on these products. Yeah. And nobody can tell you whether that product is averting more problems than it's causing. And what I will do, if I'm given this job in the White House,
such a gift,
is I'll make sure that those studies get done.
Yes.
That there are people on the panels that approve these products that are not loaded with conflicts of interest. So it's real science by disinterested people.
Right.
And that doctors and patients and Americans know exactly what the costs and benefits of every vaccine are and can make a rational decision.
Yes. Is that too much to ask? Why are they going after him and demonizing him as an anti-vaxxer, this conspiracy theory? Are you kidding me? He's going to more than impact their bottom line. He's going to breathe truth because in short, let it be known, there is no data, nothing that they have provided showing a vaccinated individual versus a vaccinated on any shot ever produced, full stop, the end, period, that proves any vax providing more health or more protection, period. Yeah. It has all been manipulated data, vaxxed on vaxxed data. This is not rocket scientists. It truly isn't. It's so clear. Now this transitions. Okay, that's enough of the vaccinated. It's just a beautiful topic in the sense you could see the tyranny, you could see the control, you could see how the hounds, how they effectively use that legislation that Barack Hussein Obama passed with the talking heads. They themselves are the propagandists, and it is war propaganda because it's impacting our health. People are dying from it. They're not having to use traditional warfare of firing shots and nukes and bombs and imprisonment. We're becoming imprisoned in our own minds, in our own bodies and hearts and spirits. It is also a satanic thing. Why else behind the COVID patents is there 666 in the patent and Luciferian race in the patent? There's a demonic side to it trying to hinder our connection to God. These individuals have given presentations on how the belief in God can be radicalized, and it's a character defect, a human defect, and we got to eradicate it out of people. And through biological warfare, through these means, through nanoparticles, through like everything the World Economic Forum has announced, there's nothing radical about what I'm stating when you actually hear them say it for themselves. They want to diminish our spiritual connection so we don't fulfill, like, what purpose do we have? What meaning? Why even fight back? Like, just comply. Just live out your life in peace. Don't paint a target on your back. It's so clear. But let's transition into the water. RFK. Oh, this is a very shocking study that he refers to on real scientists finding real data. This is a true outcome. Believe it or not, do your own research. Don't believe me. Don't believe him. Do your own research. That's refreshing to hear, isn't it? That's something you'll never hear the talking heads or the evil side of the control unless they obtain full control and they shut down all free speech and they know the only access you'll have is their access, like the access they want you to have. Then they'll say, go do your own research because they control all the freaking information you can receive at that point. That is the only time they'll say, don't take our word for it, do your own research. But they'll control it all. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. We clearly haven't controlled all the information. Are you kidding me?
Protecting habitat, protecting water, clean air, protecting our children against toxins. And it's endocrine disruptors. There's a chemical now, the second most used chemical in this country, pesticide in this country, is atrazine. It's banned in Europe, banned all over the world, but we use it here. It's in 63% of our drinking water.
63% of our drinking water. Yeah, I pretty much guarantee that's in the excess of parts per million right here in the state of Arizona. 60%. So I don't know the graph to the states, but 60% of the USA map, that's a good margin. Odds are that's over half. So odds are it's in your water. Listen to the horrific outcomes. We can only imagine the impact on humans. This has been proven with frogs. Give this a listen.
There's a famous African-American scientist named Tyler Hayes, who's at the University of Berkeley. He did a famous experiment that anybody can look up on the internet.
Tyler Hayes. Yeah, look it up. Don't take his word for it.
And he put 70 African water frogs in an aquarium. He put atrazine in the water of that aquarium that was less than EPA's level. So
less than what we're currently drinking. What?
It's less than the levels we have in 63% of our water supply. 60 of those frogs became sterile. They're all male frogs.
Out of, what did he say, 70 something? 60 of them became sterile? Out of like 70? What? That's damn near 100%.
60 became sterile. 10% of those frogs turned female.
What?
And they were able to produce fertile eggs. So it changed their sex. And of course, normally, when you see something like that in an animal model, the first thing you want to do is test it in a mammalian model and then a human model.
Yes.
Those tests were never done. So we don't know what impact it's having on our children, if any. But I think those studies ought to be done.
I like how he threw that in there, if any. But yes, those studies should be done. 100%. Think about that impact alone. Clearly, frogs is a whole different freaking species, right? We've already known there's certain parts, like certain frogs can switch genders or sexes. There's nothing. I got to stop using that word. What a freaking woke thing to say. Unbelievable. There's two sexes. Gender is fictional. It only dates back to the 60s, is it? The 60s that poisonous ideology was injected. I can't retain everything, folks. I apologize, but it's relatively new. And yeah, there's two sexes, male and female, but the frogs have been historically, scientifically kind of connected. So I doubt, yes, especially to the point a man, boom, can freaking produce what women produce and babies. Yeah, right. It's not going to happen. However, could it disrupt, let's say, the hormones and neurological functions to believe men could be women or confuse women to be men? Yeah, I believe it's possible. it's important to do the research and back it up. You know what's more important? Let's just clean up the sources and see the outcomes. How about that? Let's get things acceptable levels. How about that? Right? Let's become normal again. Let's become healthy again. Because this is a poisonous, toxic movement that's been, playing on people's heartstrings yet again, and it's heavily being censored. We have a detransitioner, a gal that talks about the testosterone and at age 14 and Lupron and breast removal surgery at a young age. And then here she is 17 years old and this destroyed my body. As a woman, I will never be able to have children. And it breaks my heart because that's other information we tried getting out there and TikTok bans it and I get a strike. These other places ban it. And it's what? That actually proves that it's an unorganic movement, that they don't in fact love these individuals. It's all about an agenda. It's all about a topic. This is someone that believed in your movement, fulfilled the movement. And there's actually okay, we can even argue the emotional turmoil, all these things, but you can't argue the fact that this destroyed her natural body and she cannot have children due to the Lupron, due to the mutilation of her body. And you cancel her? You don't care about these children. This is horrific. It's satanic. It's evil. It's terrible. Well, with this type of information coming out, it just should ramp up the sense of urgency to clean up our water, clean up these things, and let's see the outcome after doing that. I'm so optimistic. I'm so hopeful with this moment of time of free speech platforms. I mean, how long we'll have it? To be determined. Who knows? I mean, this explains so much right here. Dr. Artis, we're nearing 2 hours. Do we go through this one? This is an 11-minute clip. But man, I challenge you all to check this out. It is mind-blowing. You know what? Let's at least play some of it. We'll speed it up. Let's go 1.2.
The reason why they use DNA from the cells of other humans and other animals in vaccines is to trigger an autoimmune reaction. Now I'm going to set this up for everybody. I feel sick. This is to make you aware. This is the autoimmune industry complex. Inject people without them asking or knowing DNA from other species and other humans into their body. You will wreck their immune system and create autoimmune diseases for life. Do you want to know how I know it?
No.
Real simply. Have you ever heard of a person getting an organ transplant?
Sure.
Yes. Name an organ that they like to transplant.
Kidneys.
Kidneys are a good one. Yep. Kidneys, liver, hearts, right? You get all these, right? Lungs for pulmonary fibrosis. They have lots of organs they do transplants from. When a person you've ever known gets an organ transplant, that organ is coming from another human.
Yeah.
So they're finding someone who died or has sacrificed their own organ, and they're going to put that organ inside of your body. Let's give the kidney, for example. When they do that and they wake you up from the surgery, they then immediately prescribe to you 10 to 15 drugs for life that are called anti-rejection drugs. Okay. Your immune system's going to reject the organ and kill it. Why? Your immune system knows it ain't yours. Foreign, yeah. So it's going to go attack it. After it creates antibodies that totally destroy that organ, if you weren't on those drugs, that organ that you just received from somebody else has the DNA structure of kidneys. Guess what happens after it gets done attacking that kidney? It's going to be, those antibodies are floating around your body looking for what? Kidneys? Kidney cells, kidney tissue. They are going to then start attacking your kidneys, and you will develop autoimmunity of your kidneys, chronic kidney failure, and you will be on dialysis for life.
Jeez.
The body, we know, will reject and destroy any tissue that's foreign that isn't your DNA. This is a great design by God, by the way. Don't put other DNA in your body.
Right.
So now you put Cocker Spaniel DNA inside of a 6-month-old. You put hepatitis B inside of a 12-hour-old baby. Yeah. And you set them up for autoimmune diseases lifelong. This is why you get juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, juvenile diabetes, SIDS. Why did you get all these conditions of autism? This is
so many more diseases, malfunction. All of this, and you actually look at the rise of within all of us, all these allergens to the weather, allergens to nature, allergens to peanuts, allergens to all sorts of foods, allergens to gluten. All these things are being introduced in the nearing 100 childhood vaccines. Like he goes on to show that there's certain egg proteins being introduced into these vaccines, and when it's foreignly injected into the body, it naturally now goes against that. So when you digest the most nutrient-based food products we have, aka eggs, like what? It gears us up for the eating bugs, owning nothing, living in pods, World Economic Forum. We're a bunch of useless eaters. They value cattle more than human life because cows eat and can be eaten, and that's to be saved for them, not for us. We're going to eat bugs and know nothing and be happy. It's so demonic. It's so real. It's crazy that our current modern technological advances, our alcohol, our sports clubs, our freaking NFL, men in tights, throwing pigskins. It's like the bread and circus has been calculated through think tanks just enough, like the modern day coliseums, to keep us distracted under the delusion of entirely being free when we're not. Yes, we're blessed still in this country. Yes, there's a lot of countries across the globe that are very blessed. But are any of us entirely free? Is God intended? No. So we're not a free people. Just with the infringement on our free speech alone proves just that. So there's just enough bread and circus to keep us under the illusion, not care, enough luxury that we're just not honing in on the very things that are leading to very challenging paths. I feel for those that, I mean, these things never were rampant. All these immune deficiencies, all these allergens, all these issues within younger and younger kids arising like never before, and their solutions are to be the potential saviors and roll out 20 more shots, 3 of which are all for children under 6 months old that all contain mRNA, DNA changing. Like, are you kidding me? It's only going to provoke more issues. 100%. That's a freaking guarantee, and they can't prove otherwise. Just, I state it due to the information I've gathered, and it doesn't take any rocket scientists to come to these kind of conclusions. I'm firm, like, on, hey, let's more so live our lives naturally as God intended. We don't need all the masquerading of mortal men playing God, pretending to be God, promising us the world, giving us nothing but problems. No. Here's another angle of attack, folks, and it's biowarfare. Help us protect our families. Right here. Isn't it clear? With our food, water, vaccines, chemtrails, frequencies, and control on information, isn't it?
Lyme disease are going up. The CDC estimates there are 500,000 cases a year. That's on average 1,300 people a day.
Where do we? 500,000. That's more than HIV and breast cancer combined. How is Lyme disease not commonly known? How are we not Lyme literate? Once again, we know the reporting on these things are way below the actual numbers, way below. It took me over 30 years of having symptoms, and it took it going chronic to find a Lyme literate doctor that honed in on the actual issue. The actual Western blot testing is defective. They removed markers, never reintroduced them. So by even the Western medicine docs that, yes, on their panels, their blood panels, they can issue Lyme testing. But FYI, those 2 markers being removed, it takes 5 to get a CDC positive. Well, 2 of the main markers are gone. So you could have 4 out of the list that's there and still have a negative. But if they reintroduced, you might have had those other 2. So you could have had 6 of the only needed 5 markers. So defective. They don't want us to hone in on the root of the issue. They'd rather have us get in line and life subscriptions for depression, psychiatric medicines, just feeding into this $1 trillion industry and having us right where they want us. Never getting to the roots of the issues.
We think this came from.
Lyme disease wasn't a problem till the peak of the biological weapons program in the U.S., the mid-70s. these 3 freaky diseases showed up. Lyme arthritis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and then there was a parasite called Babesia.
So you have a cluster of these previously rare diseases right across from the U.S. government's biological weapons testing facility.
Oh, that's just coincidence, Tucker.
This is the perfect stealth weapon. It's poor man's nuke.
It's hard to digest all of this. It's just so evil.
We can't control nature. And if we're going to play God and make these new germs inside ticks, there could be blowback, unintended consequences, and that's what I believe could happen.
Muzzle yourself, Chris Newby. There is intended. It's not even adverse effects. It is intended consequences, and it's being intentionally done, rolled out, played out, 100%. You could read her book, Bitten. Talks not just of the origins of Lyme disease, but a lot of actual factual biological testing that has been done. In fact, this one here goes a little more in depth. Let's go ahead and play this one.
At the very end, he said, yeah, when I investigated, I'm going to walk away and get on with my life. But then 2 things happened within the space of a month. And I said, I can't let this story go. I just have to know what is really going on with this disease. And one was I met a CIA black ops guy who said in 1962, the weirdest thing he'd ever done in his whole crazy apocalypse now career was dropping poison ticks on Cuban sugarcane workers.
It's been reported. There's nothing conspiratorial about it. And the fact of the matter is it's not just the tick that is transmitting these things. Now, I don't know personally whether or not mosquitoes, any other biting insect, in fact, is infected itself, which is a freaky thing because now it means it's passing it to offspring and all that. I don't know. That's up for debate. I have yet to find the science behind that. However, they are capable of biting infected people, biting uninfected people, and transmitting all biting insects. So it's not just being transmitted by ticks. And as we've uncovered with the quiet epidemic, Under Our Skin, there's other documentaries, The Monster Inside Me. Like it goes through more details exposing the defective testing, the corruption, also how animals are transmitting this. Travelers, hikers, campers, hunters are transmitting this. The animals, I mean, they don't stay in, let's say the more prominent states where these ticks are thriving. They cross border lines. The ticks transfer from one animal to another. So they are in all 50 states, all over. This is a true epidemic. And I'm not trying to freaking scare people. We need to take our health more serious. I'm telling you, this disease took me to death's door, to hell and back. I'm lucky to be here speaking to you now. I still have neurological dysfunction. I still have a hard time articulating my thoughts and speaking them. This has been a great blessing because I've challenged myself enough to where this has helped me overcome some very steep slopes, but I'm not out of the woods regarding all of this. And when I'm in these Lyme groups, it is no joke I have personal individuals even reaching out to me wanting to throw in the towel. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Their life is stolen from them. They have no dopamine being produced, no serotonin, no happy production within their body. And with the lethargic, with the pain in their body, the neurological dysfunction, the whole slew of symptoms, arthritis, leads to cancers, leads to everything, MS, ALS. And we're not getting to the roots of the issues. It's so crucial that everyone has a role to play. If we could just hone in on our health, it shouldn't be a topic that is polarized. We're debating. She continues on biowarfare. It's no joke. There's so much evidence, so much documentation, and it's just crucial that we get our health back. With that, it's more than life fulfilled. Everything. We now are experiencing this life as God intended. There is a beauty to these challenges because it just ramps up and educates us in the sense of it's all a blessing. It's not a doom and gloom. This is a very special moment in time. I believe God has chosen his greatest warriors, his strongest individuals, and we chose this challenge in this time. But more so than the good times, we can more profoundly see the choices and the reason we're here. Between the war of good and evil, has it ever been clearer than now? Ever more black and white? There's pedophile rings implicating presidents, implicating Pervywood, celebrities, false idols, musicians, scientists. Like, it's it's implicating this whole, like, you could see the synagogue of Satan. Like, their sin could be their downfall. But dare I say, we've been diminished to a degree that we're more focused on ours than fulfilling a bigger purpose while we're here. Once again, I get with the responsibilities, especially with parents out there, I feel God has put me through the ringer to be right where I'm at as a single man without children, to be on the front lines. But gosh dang it, I don't even have the means and the funds. The Lyme disease bled me dry. Over $100,000, years of just travel and blood work and testing and protocols and experiment after experiment. Some things moved me, some didn't. But through the grace of God, there's been enough healing. I'm here now. I'm totally passionate. I'm charged up to fight this war on everyone's behalf, potentially die in the process. Who in their right mind would be doing this and sound the alarm against even these pharmaceutical companies? You got a death wish, dude? What's wrong with you? And I'm willing to put my face, my name, everything on the line to go on behalf. And I don't have the funds to continue on this path. I so desperately want no one individual to bear the load, but collectively, it doesn't take much for me to continue this path. I actually had a chat with a mentor earlier today, and he was talking about business successes and failures. And he was just like, James, the key to me figuring out, because so many of my businesses, I didn't budget it out to support its success. So he had to part-time his business plan, gain position of employment to do that. Well, and support that till the day financially came, it was viable. And I get that is crucial. And I want to take that path. I want to take whatever path it takes, genuinely. But I know even a part-time gig would absorb everything I have to even focus on that, to where this would basically be dead in the water. And I just don't know if I have the clarity to really invest to get back to this ever, if that's where life takes me. So I'm desperately pleading for folks to kind of understand, like, the mission here, and embolden me to go to war and on these front lines on your behalf. Put me in. It's not going to take much to keep the lights on and food on this table. In a place of abundance, we could kick off so many solutions. We could embolden the sheriffs to hold our state officials, reach out to our state officials, but gather the data that if they don't address our grievances and they're sweeping under the rug, then we'll go to law firms, we'll kick off things, replace them, and actually gain momentum. Any singular momentum would be such a huge win. Ending the chemtrail spray, ending the poison in our water, gaining health, eliminating the toxins, the foods, the dyes, the chemicals, the pesticides, the GMOs in our food, to actually gain the proper testing for these vaccines to prove whether or not they're helpful or not. If any of them prove worthwhile or potentially helpful, okay, there's this potential side effect, but it is helping in this. Well, then for the first time, we actually have informed consent. And that is an exciting day to look forward to. And as we gain resilience, my gosh, sky's the limit. We could ensure elections, not selections. We can ensure the individuals at the top listen to us. I believe we've been spoon-fed, and more people now than ever are opt to just, Yep, spoon-fed from the government, sucking on the teat, not very functional, not excited to produce, to work, to provide value. That's a whole other thing to come up potentially futuristically. There's, I'm not even going to go there. We'll touch on it futuristically. But help me. If you know anyone in a place of abundance that you feel might be willing to solely fund this, reach out to unmuzzledchat@gmail.com. I'd love to chat with them personally. We could build out a business model, a business plan. I feel it would be very selfish of me to go back to, with experiencing what I've experienced, with what I'm seeing in the health all around, with connecting these type of dots, to focus on my personal bank account over your health. Unfortunately, in this existence, to survive, to continue going on, it takes money to survive. It takes money to fund an army against the ones very well funded attacking us. It's so clear. Is it not happening? Is it not clear enough? Let's touch on one other angle of attack. And it's none other than the frequency warfare that is taking place. And once again, we could sit here and argue against it, but this doctor, this very well educated individual regarding all of this, address it. I wish I could find the full footage, but this is a clip that I was able to come across. It pretty much sums up. Once again, we just need to acquire the data. When we have the data of the actual habitats we live in and compile it to the data that they've proven, in certain frequencies and megahertz and things like certain levels of frequencies above a certain number, they've proven is harmful to the human body on a cellular level, which is going to impact sleep, mood, emotions, your immune system, inflammation, neurological function. Once again, another angle of attack. And they've proven and they've measured a lot of the habitats themselves, but they need that data. Just like RFK was calling, we need the data for informed consent on the vaccines. This is just another angle that we need that data so badly. And to dismiss this as a conspiracy with people like this educated, are coming for, unbelievable. I'm going to find the main clip and we'll be reintroducing this in a futuristic episode. But yeah, let's not forget this angle of attack. Why did TikTok censor this clip? Ask yourself. This got totally pulled down. I would even be less apt to continue bringing this up. However, they shot themselves in the foot by censoring this information. What does that tell us in and of itself? There's something to this that they don't want us to know. Fact. Let's not lie to ourselves. Boom.
What does this do to pilots? What does this do to firefighters? We already have a submission to the FCC from Susan Foster about firefighters that were unable to function in the line of duty. This is from 2013.
That's alarming. 2013.
After exposure to a cell tower that was put up near their station, and they also have two-way communication devices that they wear. So we have to measure these exposures. Yes. That is the start, and not go ahead and roll out a whole bunch of Internet of Things with more devices that we're not even measuring what we're exposed to now. So what does this do?
To continually roll out a whole Internet of Things, as she said, when we're not even measuring what's current, the current exposure we're experiencing now is in fact insanity. It's too easy. We're too occupied. We're actually being sold the bill of goods of these dang blinking boxes, smart homes, all these features. Yes, it's amazing, but there's a way we could go about it to ensure it isn't impeding on our function, our health. I mean, could you only imagine if evil didn't exist here? Imagine like how much more resilient we could potentially see past this company that we've sold 20 years of our life to and actually just had the life within us to finally, you know what, I'm going to kick off that business. We could be in a whole different position. We could actually be in a place entirely of abundance. And there are other brilliant minds also scientific and doctors, things of that nature, that have come forward and stated with all the technological advances we now have, there is absolutely no reason for debt. There's no reason for the money changers that Jesus went, like, that's the only righteous anger Jesus actually showed us, was against the biggest thieves of them all, the ones behind the currency. Now, we validated the currency. This mentor, I call him a mentor of mine at this point, whether he thinks it or feels that or not, like he talked about it so profoundly that it is backed. It's backed by our trust. So we're giving, but and he went on this whole amazing connecting the dots in a whole other level on, and it was amazing, but it still, it's still a corrupt system. There are individuals that erected that aren't truly providing us value, that are taking much. What do you call that? If someone takes something, then they're not giving anything back. That's theft. That's what Jesus was against. And it was theft on a corruption level that the people wouldn't be able to address, not giving them a fair chance in this life. Well, though that's the financial leg that stood up this evil to enact all these angles of attack to diminish us to where we can't oppose that level of tyranny because we don't have the bandwidth, the ability, the life force within us to address anything more. It's entirely a deaded system we live in. So we could eradicate interest, taxation. Very minimal taxation is required for our societal infrastructure and growth. Very minimal taxation is there needed for an actual government to provide its like two basic jobs: ensuring structural integrity of the country and defending it against freaking evil forces, attacks. That's it. Everything else it gets its hands on is epically failing. We need to abolish all of that. It has become oppressive. In our Constitution, it states, as citizens of this country, we are derelict in our duty to not abolish an oppressive, tyrannical government. We've experienced that to the nth degree. For once, we have an individual, Donald J. Trump, that I feel if we unified, we told him and had our grievances supported with the masses, he'll listen. But we got to ensure on any given topic that we are louder than the ones at the top, threatening, putting pressure on him in other regards. So this is a moment, we're not the MAGA movement, the Patriots, any individuals, like, we're not to kick our feet up on the couch and get complacent. We're to double, triple down. This is a moment to really move the needle. And I hope we do so. If we don't, well, at least RFK hopefully gets into that position to where we could start addressing the health side of things. And I believe through that, we will actually see real remedy, real solutions. Most importantly, individuals finding God in such powerful ways, applying the gifts given to them from our loving Creator, not this deceiver God in this life, ruling over us, having us mindlessly living out our perversion and just leading us astray to destruction. I've been guilty. I've fallen prey to that. I'm grateful to be out of it now. I wish it was sooner, but it is what it is. I'm so grateful to be here, able to give this rant today. I love you. I hope it's landing well. I don't want to discourage or demoralize any of you. I was even told earlier that, a simple smile. Where's the note? Well, now I got to resort to my brain, not seeing all the chicken scratch I got on this journal here. It has endless power. Endless power. Think about the other impacts we could have. also endless, because a smile can transfer over, touch someone's heart. They can walk in more positivity, impacting another person. It can have the butterfly effect for freaking generations. That's what I want us to tap into. And when we increase our health, we're going to just increase that love, that flow in such a beautiful way that's going to lead people on just better, brighter paths of peace, security, happiness. That's what we're trying to have. So I try to do a cheesy smile. I freaking love you guys. And I don't want to give this up. Financially, I got to look into other options. So I'm open. You have positions, please reach out to unmuzzledchat@gmail.com. Please consider this my application. I am genuinely looking into other things. Just know I got Lyme, and some days are better than others, but I got a lot of random skills to bring to the table. Jack of all trades, master of none. But wow, didn't feel like I was going to start today with a job application. I tell you that. I genuinely hope that this speaks to people enough to get behind, to share this. Above all, it's been words. It's all been about positive outcomes. I've fallen off that path quite a bit throughout this journey thus far. Forgive me for that. I only want positive outcomes. Please help share this message to everyone you love. Hopefully this combination of data will help, open eyes to, dude, so much is going against it, but don't be disheartened, because collectively we can fix all of it if we so choose. But just one step at a time. Let's just address one little thing and see where that leads us health-wise, and continue that momentum to the next. It isn't rocket science. We could have great freaking impact and fulfill why we're here. So whatever it takes to continue this, I feel so passionate to continue and perfect the mastery of communication, articulation, presentation. That's a lot of shins, but I'm grateful. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for hearing me out. Once again, let's end on this image. If we are not effectively seeing this as a serious problem, then their attacks are working. Once again, we could change this image. We could change that to the food industry. If we're not seeing it, then yeah, it's working. We could change it to the vaccines. Yeah, if we're not seeing that problem, and getting the proper data necessary is working. If we're not seeing the frequencies that currently aren't being tested other than specialists on certain levels proving that things are at a harmful state, but we need the data in a bigger way, a more accepting way as a society. We need that information. So we even have informed consent on the very security cameras we put on our homes. Yet all these other talking devices. We are energy beings. It's no secret now. I've seen through cancer patients, the Rife machine, there's in so many that frequencies have actually become an effective way of treating illness and disease. 100%. Cancer, things like that have been reversed within individuals. The data is out there. So, of course, that frequency side of things, evil would love to use without us even noticing. Why you resort to bullets, right? Why resort to a dictator when you can arguably penetrate the most powerful country ever to exist from within without firing a shot through methods like that? Yeah, it is worth researching. For frick's sakes, we're spending money on things that we could reallocate funds in way better ways than are currently happening. Our government has no longer transparency. I mean, they're public officials. There's nothing public about them. We are private citizens. There's nothing private about us. It's all reverse. It's all bad. Are we going to take this moment serious? Anyway, we could continue. The image could be the water, right? That is clearly toxic that we're drinking. Let's get it to a point we could drink from our hose again. Let's get it to a point when we order, let's say even a drink at a restaurant, we can have ice or water from their tap because it's not full of chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and Lord knows what else. I look forward to that day, and I hope we could obtain it. If not, man, let's just try to up our health to enjoy the life we got while we got it. I appreciate you all. That was quite a rant. Jesus is calling. Let's answer this daily devotional. I should have queued up the actual biblical scriptures because they're so powerful. So more important than this humanly written daily devotional that, yes, mimics a lot of biblical teachings. Let's get our nose in the Bible, most importantly. So December 21st, by the way, Christmas is right around the corner. I sure hope you have a special Christmas and New Year. I know in ways the actual Christmas is kind of like a pagan holiday at this point. There's so much deception around dates and things like that, but ultimately it is a special time when you're directed your thoughts and your hearts towards our Savior and the sacrifice he paid for us. I'm grateful. We are undeserving, but our God clearly loves us so much. I'm just so grateful. He has healed me in ways I didn't deserve. I'm just grateful. And I know a lot of us and a lot of you out there are hurting. You're in pain. Lean into him the best of your ability. He'll show up. He'll answer prayers. It may not be in the ways you expect or you want, but he's there. He's waiting to bless lives. I can attest to that. So today reads, my plan for your life is unfolding before you. Sometimes the road you are traveling seems blocked, or it opens up so painfully slowly that you must hold yourself back. Wow, speaking to me. Then when the time is right, the way before you suddenly clears through no effort of your own. What you have longed for and worked for, I present to you freely as a pure gift. You feel awed by the ease with which I operate in the world, and you glimpse my power and my glory. Do not fear your weakness, for it is the stage on which my power and glory perform most brilliantly, as you persevere along the path I have prepared for you, depending on my strength to sustain you. Expect to see miracles, and you will. Miracles are not always visible to the naked eye, but those who live by faith can see them clearly. Living by faith rather than sight enables you to see my glory. Folks, I want to testify to a miracle in my life. Without our loving Creator, I would not be here speaking before you. I guarantee you that. I was knocking on death's door. I was done with this existence. Lyme took me to hell, took me to the lowest lows. I couldn't function. I was bedridden. I couldn't articulate my words. I couldn't articulate my thoughts, yet speak them. So bad. So insane. I was coming up with creative ways to not hinder people by quietly exiting this life. Yeah, that's insanity. There's no such outcome. I was going to wreck everyone in my life. But I leaned into God, and he paved a way when there was none. I'm so grateful. I challenge you to check out these biblical references. We have Psalm 62:2, 2 Corinthians 5:7, John 11:40. By the way, I am not suicidal. I'll never be. I'm too passionate. I've seen miracles take place. I've felt God's love for me and all of us. And that has been, to this day, more than enough. My cup to this day has been overflowing. It wasn't deserved. It wasn't even earned. I can only imagine the gifts he would bestow upon you in your life. Just reach out. It doesn't take an organized religion. It doesn't take a blessed pastor and all these individuals just continuously seek him. I like the trifecta of the daily devotional that gets me in the Bible itself, and then lastly, a journal. A journal is so powerful. Like right here, this one's actually got some biblical references, and it says right here on the bottom of this page, and I don't know why I keep disregarding it. It states, "Be strong and courageous. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Josh 1:9. That's it. Gives us everything we need. Might not be how we want, but everything we need. I love y'all. I hope I can continue to do this and actually rack my brain like I continuously do to find more effective ways on addressing these issues. Come up with quite a few creative ways on even addressing the chemtrails. So I think that is a great place to start with all the things happening. The legal teams in Florida and Tennessee, Kentucky, all these states. It's real. They're spraying us, and it's so damning. Aluminum, barium, plastics, all sorts of things. It's wrecking our function of our bodies. I can't wait to address some of these issues. I hope that this becomes a viable path to do just that. I love you. Merry Christmas. Until next time, take care.